This video is going to be a part 5 to my Why You Should Never Hire a Mangina series, and I'm going to go into a different course with this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about simps. And what is a simp? A simp is a man who puts himself in a submissive position under women in the hopes of winning their favor and their approval. And having a simp in a workplace is a very, very dangerous thing. There are two things that are guaranteed to happen if you leave a simp in a workplace for too long. One, you're going to have a sexual harassment lawsuit to deal with, and two, you may have some workplace violence. When it comes down to simps, they do not come to work to actually achieve the goals of the organization. No, a simp comes to the workplace in the hopes of doing two things. One, showing off for people and getting social currency with them, and two, chasing women. And both of those behaviors can be very detrimental to an organization. When you have a simp in the workplace and he's chasing social currency, he is not focused on the productivity and the goals of the organization. Usually, most times when you have a simp in the workplace, this is the guy who is coming to work to show out and to impress people. But what would be really impressive to an employer is meeting the goals and the tasks that need to be done in the organization. But to this guy, he's about being cool, winning the favor of people, and making and impressing people. But impressing people, that's not important to a workplace. And this guy can pretty much disrupt your workplace because he's the guy who will be working at a $25,000 a year job wearing a Brooks Brothers suit. He'll be working a $30,000 a year job, driving an Escalade, and he'll be sitting there talking about his attachments like his iPhone or his Beats headphones or his designer clothes, and he's not focused on what we need to do. I mean, he'll be in a cubicle, he'll be spending most of his time looking at designer clothes or looking at designer stuff and talking to people about designer stuff and trying to win social currency. Meanwhile, the work that you asked him to do, you ask him, where is he on, the beta project, and he won't be able to tell you where he is. He won't be able to tell you, what report he has written, what memo he's written. He won't be able to tell you any of that because he's too busy chasing that social currency, or he's out here chasing the females in the workplace. Now, in most cases, when it comes down to your workplace, the rule is don't crap where you eat. And the reason why you don't crap where you eat or date people in your workplace is because it can make a mess that not only ruins your professional career, but it can destroy your personal life as well. When it comes down to the workplace, you really want to keep your workplace professional, and you want to keep your interactions with females in the workplace professional. Unfortunately, your simp just does not understand boundaries because he, in many cases, grew up in a single mother household, or he grew up in a household with women, and the women never taught him that in social situations there are certain boundaries to be maintained. And when you're in a workplace, you really want to keep everything professional with the females at the workplace because you have to work with this person and you're going to need this person's support in order to get the tasks that you need done completed and to get the goals of the organization achieved. So you really don't want to mix business with pleasure. But your simp, again, because he does not understand boundaries, will try to mix business with pleasure and usually winds up having to pay for his pleasure with pain. When it comes down to your simp, he really, again, because he does not understand boundaries, will just start chasing any woman he believes is attractive. And oftentimes, these won't be management women or executive women, women who have the power to fire him. The first woman he's going to chase is either going to be some administrative assistant or some receptionist because he looks at how attractive they are on the outside. Not understanding that usually your administrative assistant and a receptionist is usually made to appear attractive because the company is trying to woo clients and trying to appeal to clients. And part of wooing and appealing clients is having a very attractive woman sitting at the front desk outside of the office and that's eye candy for people. But your simp will look at that eye candy and think that that's an opportunity for him to get a date. Again, he thinks that the workplace is just like a nightclub or a restaurant, and he can just step to females, not understanding that this female, is in this position for a reason, and her job, again, is to charm these clients, connect with these clients, and make these clients feel comfortable. This is not about him getting a date, but he will go out here and try to pursue these females in these low level positions. And in many cases, this dude will never take no for an answer. And with each unwanted and unwarranted advance he makes, he's setting up a business for sexual harassment lawsuit. Because if you don't nip this simp in the bud, what he's going to do is he's going to keep chasing females, and they'll keep saying no to him, and some of them will willfully and intentionally say no to him so they can have a nice documented record to take to HR or to get a lawyer and go to court with to get themselves a nice fat lawsuit. Now, some of the nicer women will just get this guy fired, but some of the more predatory females are going to use this to set themselves up for a nice, big, fat lawsuit where they get themselves broke off a nice piece of change. And at the end of the day, when you have a simp in the workplace, he's going to cost you money because, again, he likes to chase women. He won't take no for an answer. One woman will tell him no, the receptionist, he'll go over to this admin. If that admin tells him no, he'll continue to go after her. And eventually, this eventually becomes a problem that's eventually going to cost you some legal fees, some court costs, and some damages. And this is why you don't want to hire a simp. This is the guy, he just does not, he spends most of his time chasing these women, and his chasing of women, again, will slow down your productivity. When you ask him where reports are, he won't be in his cubicle. He'll be either at some woman's desk talking, trying to knack her, or he'll be at the reception desk trying to flirt with her. Or if he's further along, he'll be in some executive office trying to talk to her. He doesn't care who he talks to. He just wants to talk to females. Meanwhile, you've got work that needs to be done. And another thing that your simp is going to do with female coworkers in a workplace is he's going to do their work for them. And this can really lead to bottlenecks in your workplace. When this guy, is in the workplace, more predatory females who work in your workplace will start passing their work off onto him. You'll give Julie, a report to do, or you'll give Julie a project to do, and then you'll see Julie in her office shopping at the Bowden website and asking her where the report is, and then you find out it's with the simp, and the simp is doing the work. And this is a very dangerous situation because simps often try to use the work that they do for women as part of a covert contract, and they'll hope that by doing this work, they'll eventually be able to get a date out of this female. And what usually happens in these covert contract situations is it can make things really cagey for your workplace, and it can really make things really a hostile environment because he's expecting to get something for doing this work for this woman. Meanwhile, she's not expecting to give him anything. All she just wants to do is get this work out of the way and, have him do it while she sits here and shops at Bowden or one of these other websites. She's got him doing all her work, and his work and he's trying to do his work and her work. And he thinks he's being a nice guy, but he's creating a bottleneck situation in your workplace. Whenever you see this type of situation as a manager, what you have to do is call this female to the carpet and say, I assigned you this task, you're responsible for it, and I want this done by you, not by him. And then you have to take the simp aside and tell him, look, your job is to do what I told you to do, not what she tells you to do. I'm the supervisor, I'm the manager, I'm the one in charge. If I tell you to do something, this is what I want you to do. This is your role, not her role is not your role. Your job is not to do what she tells you to do, because this is what a lot of these females will do. They'll try to manipulate this guy, and you're going to find out that because of his covert contract, there's all this dissension in the workplace because he's feeling resentful and angry about this female using him to do her work, and and she's just getting away with all sorts of stuff. But you as a manager have to nip that in the bud, because that can lead to tension and frustration in the workplace, and it can also lead to a lot of drama. And then you don't need that type of thing in your workplace, because all that's going to do is demoralize people, frustrate people, and decrease your worker morale. Because when you have the simp in the workplace, he's thinking he's going to get brownie points with this female by doing her work, and he thinks he's going to get a date out of doing her work. And that's not part of a workplace. A workplace is not where we give to get. Everybody is assigned their own task. They're assigned what they're supposed to do, and everybody's expected to pull their own weight. In a professional work environment, I do my part, then this next person does their part, and we all do all our parts together to achieve the long-term goals of the organization. And because of these covert contracts, it can lead to some of what I call what are workplace violence. I mean, because this guy is still feeling angry and resentful, what he'll do is he'll, cause a fight or some sort of argument, and this can, again, if somebody gets hurt, you're liable for that, um, and that can really cost you in the long run. But when you look at this simp, you have to really be careful, because he, again, is a very, very dangerous person to have in your workplace. He's the kind of guy, he does not have good control over his emotions. And when things aren't going his way, he will, because he doesn't understand boundaries, what he's going to do is he's going to participate in some very, very dangerous behavior. Um, Oftentimes, if he can't get a date with a female that he is smitten by, what he'll start doing when he sees that, she keeps saying no, and then you don't go to HR on him or you don't get him terminated, what he's going to do is start escalating his behavior. And your simp is the kind of guy, he's the kind of guy who will start stalking the female coworkers on the job. He'll start following them out to the parking lot, and in some cases, he'll follow them on the bus, or he'll follow them on the train, or, he'll find their address in HR records and then start trying to pop up um, with flowers and candy, or he'll find out a spot where, these females go, like some of them will go to a bar on Friday night. He's going to pop up there again with the flowers and the candy. And if you don't nip this guy in the bud and let him know what boundaries are, he's pretty much going to set you up again for another lawsuit. And if you don't nip this guy in the bud and, take him to the side and give him a warning, these behaviors are going to escalate. And what some women will do, some of the more predatory females are going to do, is that they're going to give in to this guy. And, some of them may even like him and may be nice to him. And they'll go out on a date with him. And again, these behaviors can escalate, and they can really get cagey. And you really have to nip this guy in the bud with his woman chasing, because he will escalate it into stalking. He will escalate it into harassment, and this woman will have a nice case for a lawsuit, because you as an employer were supposed to protect her from this individual, and because you didn't protect her, you're on the hook for a nice big lawsuit in punitive damages. So you have to check this guy whenever you see his behavior in place. And what can really, and the whole thing is that when this guy's around, there are chances of workplace violence, because sometimes if a female can't get restitution or some sort of action taken against this guy, what she's going to do is she's going to go call her boyfriend up, and that can lead to a fight in the parking lot, or a fight in the office, or some sort of workplace melee. That again, if that boyfriend gets hurt, or if this guy gets hurt in the workplace, you're liable for that. So it pays to just not hire these guys in the beginning, or if you do have them on your job, to check them immediately. Another thing that you have to understand about the workplace with a simp in it is that you're going to really have to check their computers. Your simp, again, he's a woman chaser. And one of the things he likes to do is go on his computer and look at porn. So having this guy around, again, it's another case of sexual harassment and a sexual harassment lawsuit. So you have to really check the history of this guy's computer. because he will be sitting up there looking at Victoria's Secret. He'll be sitting up there looking at porn, and he will create a hostile environment for you that will eventually cost you millions of dollars in the long run if one of these female workers comes by and gets offended. But what makes a simp really dangerous in the workplace is that, again, he does not understand boundaries, he can't take no for an answer, and he can't has next to no control over his emotions. And if he is allowed to continue to escalate over a long period of time, it can lead to extreme violence. And that extreme violence can be anything where from a shooting in the workplace of a coworker to a mass murder. Because when it comes down to your simp, he just, again, does not understand boundaries, does not understand limitations, and does not have control over his emotions. A female telling him no in the workplace can lead to this guy going berserk. And when these guys go berserk, they will either try to kill the object of their affection, like finding the female in the parking lot and shooting her in the head, or he may come in with a bunch of guns and shoot the whole place up, killing dozens of people, all because he felt slighted. And again, as a business owner, you're liable for all those deaths, and because people are going to say that you were supposed to prevent them. But the best play of all to prevent those things is to not hire this guy at all, or to terminate him early on when you start to see these behaviors start to manifest themselves. Because when you have a simp in the workplace, you are going to have one of two situations that are eventually going to happen. One, you're going to have a sexual harassment lawsuit that eventually you're going to have to deal with in court. Or two, you're going to have some sort of workplace violence like the incidents I mentioned earlier. Because these guys they have no understanding of boundaries, they have no understanding of limitations, they have no understanding of professional protocol or how to behave in the workplace. And because they do not understand how to behave in the workplace, they make a workplace a very, very, very hostile environment to be in. And they make it not only hostile for men, but for women as well. And when they are there, they do not maintain a level of productivity because they spend so much time chasing social currency or chasing the attention of women that the work in the workplace never gets done. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.